You're listening to FitPro Sessions with Parallel Coaching, episode number 40. Hi, I'm Neil Bergman, and in today's podcast, I'm interviewing Jamie Warr from Unit 22 in Northampton, all about kickstarting in fitness and becoming a confident coach. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Neil Bergman.
And I'm Hayley Bergman. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands of fitness professionals to get qualified, learn with simplicity, and coach clients with confidence.
We're the first to say that learning and being a FitPro doesn't have to be hard work, and that with the right structure, support and resources, you can become a confident and knowledgeable fitness professional that is dedicated to more.
So how do you learn, qualify and kickstart as a FitPro? This is the FitPro Sessions Podcast with Parallel Coaching.
Before we get going, I need to add an advisory warning to this podcast. So I want to a huge welcome, Jamie Warr to FitPro Sessions, episode number 40. Now, just a few minutes ago, Jamie and I were discussing, is it okay to swear on FitPro Sessions? And I gave Jamie the go-ahead. So if you are offended by swear words, just know that they're not meant at you. They're there because ultimately, Jamie just said they just fall out of his mouth. So, Jamie, a huge warm welcome. Just give us a quick intro into who Jamie Warr is and how we know each other.
So, I think we've known each other for probably about 8 years now. So, you and Hayley took me through my level 2 and level 3 fitness qualifications back in 2012, 2013 sort of time. So
earlier than that, I think it was 2011 actually.
It's a good amount of time, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I was qualified as a PT with you guys. Done a few other courses through Parallel. So did GP referral, did the level 1 kettlebells, help assisted with you as well.
Yeah.
I've been predominantly personal trainer for those 8 years, working across boot camps, delivering boot camps and developing those, starting out and then going into PTing in London in Matt Roberts, coming back out of London, starting up a few bits here and there, and now I'm a head coach at Unit 22 Northampton, which is a CrossFit affiliate in
Amazing. And you forgot to mention that you come from a very good rugby background as well. Let's hear it, Jamie.
So yeah, I used to. As you know, used to play at Northampton Saints Rugby Club, but play's a really strong word. I spent 18 months out of 2 years there injured, so I lifted weights and spent a lot of time in the physio room and in the gym, which is where I learned a lot there. But also, it meant that they couldn't keep paying me to lift weights.
Exactly, but
as much fun as it is, it's
completely. So would you say that that's where your kind of love for training, I suppose, from a weights perspective, in the gym perspective, first kind of blossomed? Or over to you.
I think it probably came before that. I had something about 14 or 15. I was told that if I wanted to get anywhere in rugby, I needed to put on weight.
Yeah. So
we went and sought help from a personal trainer based in Toaster. And that was my first experience of a gym, sort of stepping in there. And it was, the stuff we were doing was really, really basic, but it helped massively. I put on some weight, and I think that sort of gave me my first insight into training as such, or resistance training. So from there it sort of grew, and I picked up a little bit of knowledge. I started looking at YouTube, started reading more into it and getting really involved in it and enjoyed it. And
YouTube has a lot to answer for, doesn't
it? Yeah. YouTube and social media, especially now, it's got a lot to answer for. But yeah, I sort of got stuck into it a lot more and got my teeth into various bits of reading, and started putting together programs and started training with other guys from the rugby team. And from there, it sort of blossomed and grew.
Cool, man. So from a rugby perspective, obviously you said you spent 18 months out of 2 years injured, and we'll talk about the injury maybe a little bit. What, from your rugby days, what was your biggest accomplishment, would you say? What was the pinnacle for you that says, you know what, it might have been, say, a relatively short-lived career, and perhaps not what you expected to become, was injured, but what was the highlight for you?
That was it. Getting contracted in a professional setup, even as a senior academy player. That was it. Yes, I'd have loved to have gone on and made more of it, but unfortunately it wasn't on the cards.
Yeah.
So I think that had been my goal since 4 or 5 years old. My dad took me down to my first rugby club when I was that age, and then from there, that was it. That's all I wanted to do. So yeah, that definitely was probably the pinnacle. I mean, there was definitely other highlights, but
that was
coming through that, yeah, that was it.
Amazing. So do you mind talking about the injury? Is that okay?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I know what happened, but for those listening and watching.
So I went to make a tackle in a rugby game. And as I was getting up from that tackle, there was a pop in my knee. And it turned out that I had a bucket handle tear in my left lateral meniscus, which basically means that it tears around the periphery on the lateral aspect and folded over on itself. So I had to have that repaired. The first repair didn't work, so it meant 2 operations, and that season was written off.
Yeah.
Went back into it, and then in season 2, I was playing again, another pop, and it happened again, but not to the same extent. So this was a shorter time off, and then happened again a 4th time, and the popliteus as well started to fray off the bone a little bit, which was
So a weak point on my leg.
Yeah, it was. It's not ideal having a dodgy knee playing rugby, but it was always going to be a weakness. And I think the nature of professional sport means that you want to get back to playing. You're in an environment where you're not, albeit you're still in a professional environment, you're not doing what you want to do. You want to play rugby. It's all well and good sitting in the gym, doing all the rehab, going in the physios and being part of the club.
But at the end of the day, you want to be on the pitch doing the very thing that you love doing.
Yeah. So when I think probably didn't get, I was probably too quick in getting back into playing.
Yeah.
So I ended up, as soon as my contract finished, I actually didn't run. I didn't axial load for probably best part of 2.5 years.
Which is a really great message already for those listening, whether you're training yourself and you've recently had an injury, just respect that injury time, but there is a level of adaptation to be had in that time. And also if you've got clients and you're already qualified and you're training somebody that is or has an injury right now, just know there's a time frame. And actually, we all want to get back to running. We all want to go back to lifting weights or whatever the discipline is. Yeah. There's a time and a series of events that must take place in order to be fit long term.
Yeah, definitely. That's no reflection on anything that happened when I was at the club. It's just how it happened to be. And I think I then I went away and did more reading and more research and looked into it a little bit more. But I think time's a fantastic healer for a lot of injuries, and giving myself that prolonged period of time off meant that I could actually get back. I played rugby for another couple of seasons down at the club where I grew up at, which was brilliant. But unfortunately, I can't play now. I've had too many bangs to the head, and my wife has said she doesn't want to be married to a vegetable. So it's
it comes with, as a lot of sports, they come with their risks, don't they?
Yeah, they do. You play silly games, you get hurt. Absolutely, and I wouldn't change any of that for a second. It's definitely been a massive part of who I've grown up to be, and a massive part of where I am now as a coach and in my professional career.
Completely, because you've gone on and done things like for sports massage as well. And was that guided by kind of your own journey of being injured and understanding that something's happened in my knee? What's gone on? How can I help somebody else or not? Or
I think it was part of the job that I was doing at the time, in that it was a service that could be delivered. So I was working within corporate health and wellbeing at the time. So it was another service we looked at, in-office massage. And the guys we were working with were typically office athletes. So they worked really hard, but they had hobbies such as they went out and cycled 80 or 90 kilometers a weekend. They ran marathons. They were at the gym.
Wow.
These guys, but that comes with the nature of their job. If they're type A individuals at work, they're not just going to sit down and do nothing at home. No, completely. If you're going to have a type A person at work is going to be the person that happily jumps into a 26 miler, 30 miler, and then jumps on the bike and then
they know they should have a rest day, but they go for a swim.
Exactly, that's it. They don't. So that was part of the service we were offering. But it also gave me. It meant that my service that I was able to deliver in my private clients was enhanced. I had a better understanding, more sound understanding of the human body and the human anatomy, which then meant when I was delivering sessions, I could say, okay, well, this is tight, right? Well, why is that tight? And it started working through my head. Well, that could be tight because of various reasons. There could be various injuries or niggles that something's there. So we could look at some corrective exercise. We could look at some soft tissue therapy, and it kind of nicely rounded off the service that I was able to deliver.
Mm-hmm. Really well. Just kind of like just jump into one side straight away. How much of your current practice as a coach is influenced by the knowledge of anatomy and physiology? As you know, like parallel coaching, one of our main things is our revision boot camps, and we're constantly talking about why you need to know anatomy and physiology and the impact that has on the success of you as a FitPro. Now, most FitPros, I think later on I got a question for you, but I think something like 80% of FitPros aren't in the industry after a couple of years of qualifying. Yeah. You're 8, almost 9, maybe even 10 years close to your fitness career. So you've well and truly destroyed that statistic. So first off, high five to that one. How much of your kind of daily practice of supporting clients is guided by the understanding of anatomy and physiology and principles of training?
I'd say the vast majority of it, sort of 80 to 90% of it is guided by that. And because if you don't understand the anatomy and physiology, you don't program correctly for the client. You don't then program correctly for their needs. You're going in blind. And yes, the goal of that individual might be to get fitter. So you might in turn, just by hammering them with no real direction,
by default, they might get fitter.
Yeah. But if we look at, I look at training for longevity. It's one of my proudest achievements throughout training is how long I keep clients, and I keep clients injury free. And there's certain aspects of training actually how it transfers out into day-to-day life. I've got clients who can now pick up their daughter pain free because they've worked with me long enough that they understand now that it's more than just about getting hammered, which you can do, but understanding the anatomy and physiology, you can then apply training principles, you can apply different movement patterns, and you can look at regressing and progressing movements. If you understand the fundamentals of the training, then you can elicit a stimulus without having to cause injury. So if you're looking at a basic hip hinge movement and you say, right, hip hinge movements, we go to Romanian deadlifts, or we go to a deadlift, just really, really basic movements, but that deadlift causes pain. How can we then elicit that same movement pattern or elicit a similar response via a different method that doesn't cause injury? Yeah.
Superb. So, and one thing I just want to stress is that everything you've just said is a learning curve, right? You don't get that from necessarily fresh out of a PT gate. And so many PTs, we speak to daily are like, I feel underconfident. I don't feel like I truly understand everything. And I just want to kind of go back to the first, I suppose, couple of years, maybe 6 months of your journey. What was it like fresh out the PT gates? What you've just riddled off, you probably didn't, maybe you knew it then, but you probably weren't able to articulate it quite cleanly. You just did.
No. If I'm honest, first, there's a fantastic graphic that I saw recently that I thought, actually, do you know what, that's spot on. And as I was first qualified as a PT, and having been in a professional sport background, I came out qualified as a PT and I thought I was the shit. And then I quickly realized that actually that wasn't the case.
Amazing.
It is. I qualified as a PT. I was just like, I was absolutely buzzing. It came out. I got my first few clients. I went into a job working in boot camps.
I mean, I remember that first year to 2 years, because I was around you a lot, and I actually went to some of your boot camp sessions as well over in Toaster, and they were absolutely amazing. And what I love so much about you is I'm not a big fan of fake it until you make it, because you weren't faking, because you did own that knowledge, but you went into every session, every program, every client, every plan with confidence, even though deep down, perhaps you weren't that confident, if that makes sense.
That's the main thing, is you've got to be that those clients are buying into you for an hour a day or however long they see you.
Yeah.
You've got to be completely on the ball. You've got to be 100% confident in what you're delivering. If you know, if you're unsure of anything, the client's going to pick up on that, and that's going to reflect badly on you as a session, as you as a trainer, and then in the long term, you as a business. If you're not confident in what you're delivering,
it'll shine through.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're not, it doesn't have to be super advanced. Especially, that's one thing I learned. I learned very quickly. I tried to go in. I looked at a load of stuff. I researched a load of stuff. And when I say researched, I meant I looked on T Nation. I thought that was researching. It wasn't. Like reading articles where you're just like, yeah, that's awesome, let's throw that in, and yeah, that's great, let's throw that in. It ended up these sessions were just manic and chaotic because I tried to get so much stuff in that wasn't necessary.
Yeah,
that was completely irrelevant and didn't make sense. And a lot of the guys coming to see me hadn't exercised for 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah,
I'm trying to throw stuff in from a blog that is for experienced lifters who have been training for years and years and years, and who are trying to get to that next level with or without anabolic steroids.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I think the PT course didn't do. And I think that was just a reflection of the overall all courses back in 2010 and 11, is they didn't give you the inquiry skills to go, right, what is a credible bit of research? I'm reading something online. What does that actually mean for me? For me as a coach, what does that mean for my client? Where does my client fit into this? Their training age, their where they are right now, all their conditions.
Yes.
And I think the PT course now allows a client to have a trainee PT, a coach, to have more inquiry skills to go, that's relevant for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a reflection of you guys at Parallel, but the way the industry has developed.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
And especially the different demographics now, they want more information, they want more knowledge to be given to them, so they want to get value for money. So they may come to you, whereas before someone may come to you and you delivered an hour's PT session. Now you're getting people coming to you, you're delivering 30 to 35 minutes of personal training, of coaching, but also you're delivering that additional information where you are explaining why you're doing it. You're giving them that information so they understand why they're doing it, and people want that now. That's a massive factor in training and coaching.
Go back 10 years, it was very much it was almost quite easy to sell PT, really. Certainly in the early mid 2000s, it was pay as you go. People were paying for that session, and it was seen, I suppose, in society as a privilege to be able to have a PT and be able to afford it. Whereas now it's not only use the word common, but it's much more accessible. There's a word, great word. And now we're paying for a result. Somebody comes to you because they're here at A and they want to get to B, and they know they can't do that on their own. Yeah, completely. Definitely. Was there a point in, I suppose, the first couple of years of your PT career, so maybe somewhere between 2011 and I don't know what point, 2013, 14, what was it? Was there a shift in the way you operated? Was there a lucky break? When did that penny drop and you went, yes, I'm past that point where most people give up, and now I know what I've got to do?
So I think I had a very, very lucky break to land a job at Matt Roberts. My CV was passed, I think, through about 3 or 4 people, and it happened to land on the desk of the manager at Matt Roberts Mayfair. And I got an email from these guys, and I had no idea because I hadn't applied for this job. I just looked at it and thought, I think actually I called you or texted you and I said, have you heard of this guy called Matt Roberts?
You did, I remember.
He was like, yeah, it's the guy that pioneered one-to-one personal training 30 years ago.
This is the top dog.
Okay, nice. So it's legit. So I was like, okay, it's sweet. And I got a very
reference for you as well, didn't I?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I think probably. So I went into this and it's a very, very lucky break to get the opportunity to work there. But then, and some of the quality of some of the trainers there was unbelievable. The level of knowledge these guys displayed, and the way the clinic, the studio was set up, so it was one-on-one PT only, wasn't an open gym floor, and there was also a physiotherapy center attached onto it, so you'd work with the physios and you'd work backwards and forwards. So it gave me a really good job. It's very similar to a professional sporting setup, in where you work with the strength and conditioning team and the physio team. They're all constantly communicating. It's happened to the same to the clients that we had down there. And that's when I sort of looked at it and thought, you know what, there's more to training than just looking good. Yes. And there's more to training than just hammering people for the session, which don't get me wrong, that always serves a purpose.
There's a time and a place.
Yeah, exactly. And you get boot camps are fantastic for it. You see a lot of boot camps where corrective exercises and mobility often take a back seat because they're fast. They're 30 to 45 minutes of bam, hit the wall, go, which, like I say, have got a perfectly good time and place. But it wasn't going to help me develop myself as a trainer. It wasn't going to help me develop my clients. It wasn't going to give my clients a return on investment. It wasn't going to help me from a point of view where I would have a long career.
Did the time at Matt Roberts' studio in Mayfair allow you to recognize your worth as well? In terms of, like, these guys are, I don't know, they're probably paying a pretty penny to be there for clients. Was that one of maybe some of the first points where you thought, actually, because you started off doing a boot camp, you know, 2, 3, 4 pounds in a church hall in the back end of nowhere. And now, all of a sudden, I don't know.
Massive case of imposter syndrome. I was just, like you say, I was charging £3 per person for an hour's class. I was doing.
You even charged me and Haley.
I had to make a difference.
Yeah,
but that's it. I had to. Massive case of imposter syndrome. Like I say, I was charging £3 or £4 for a boot camp class. I was doing it in village halls where I'd had people put their foot through the floor. I'd had to clean up the stuff from playgroup before the class.
Yeah.
And then to go into a gym, which was next level stuff. The equipment, these guys were paying sort of upwards of £100 an hour for a PT session. And it's not necessarily that I gained that I was instantly that worth that much more. It was a case of location, obviously the overheads of the gym and the company, and then they had to pay all the trainers there.
But also people are willing to pay that much.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And I think, don't get me wrong, certain clients were there. They were there for a chat. They were there to get a break from work. They were there to say when they went for coffee with their friends, "Oh, I pay so much for my PT." That's what some of them were there for. Some of them weren't. Some of them were awesome to clients to train.
It's an element of significance.
Yeah. And some of them I absolutely loved training. That was one of the places where I had my first sort of real achievement as a trainer. And one of my clients, he managed to lose enough weight that him and his wife were successful in having a child.
Amazing.
And stuff like that he wasn't six-pack shredded. He lost enough weight that made a real difference to his life, and it's something that he wanted. Is what him and his wife wanted.
So when people first come to meet you, and I think this is really relevant for, say, new trainee FitPros, we have this kind of idea, I suppose, that we're going to help people get fit, go to their local park run, be able to do 10 pull-ups or whatever it is. But the reality is somebody comes to you as a coach because they have a much deeper goal, and sometimes it's really hard for them to articulate their goal when they first meet you. Maybe that's an element of know, like, and trust. But to be able to turn around and say, I want you to personally train me because I want to have a baby.
Yeah, that's it. It's getting to that point, isn't it? And there's all sorts of stuff you can go into. You can look at building rapport, but actually at the end of it, it's just genuinely investing your own time and your own efforts into your client's journey. Mm-hmm. That's it. And celebrating their successes like they're your own, because you are. That's what will. Or that's certainly what I found has helped me when I've been truly invested in clients. they will follow me through anything. They're totally supportive of everything that I do, and as long as I'm totally supportive of everything they do, and if you have their best interests at heart, you show that and you go that extra mile and deliver that extra care,
you get to know the client more, I'm going to say, than some of their closest loved ones, because they're at a point where they do trust you, they do value you, they are open to conversation. It's your job as a coach to ask deeper, better, world-class questions that open them up. And they tell you stuff that they perhaps haven't even told their husband or their wife or their kids.
And it's also partially because you are, in the nicest possible way, you are completely irrelevant in their life. Exactly. You have no other influence over that hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, however many times you see them over a day, over a week. That's all the time you see them for. You're not going to go and speak to their friends. You're not going to speak to their wife.
There's no judgment at all, is there?
No, that's it. And that's another thing that's really important, is actually not having that judgment when you're speaking to them. Whatever they choose to do, whatever they choose to say, you've got to say you don't have judgment, because it might be a massive thing for them to open up and talk to you.
Completely. So you've worked with a whole host of different types of people, male, female, different ages, different goals. Tell us more about what you're up to the last number of months in Northampton at Unit 22.
So I'm now head coach at Unit 22, and that what comes with that is a lot of class delivery. I deliver most of the group training classes. So for those people that haven't experienced a CrossFit class, it's like a small group training program. We have up to sort of 15 people in a class, where we run a structured program, and I'm in charge of the overall programming as well. So all of the sessions delivered on the same day are the same. So we will run the same session for our 6 a.m. class, a 7 a.m. lunchtime, and then our 4:30, 5:30, 6:30 and 7:30 class. That session will be the same throughout, and then it's programmed over a week. So if you're going back right the way back to PT terms, your microcycle is a day. You could use a mesocycle as a week. You could use it as 4 weeks. You could use it as a month, and then you could go to the macrocycle, which is the year. So before I started my role, before I stepped into the head coach role in December last year, I'd been coaching there for sort of a year prior. Before I stepped in, I'd programmed the entire year's worth of focuses in terms of where we're going to focus. Right, we're going to focus on endurance for 6 weeks. We're going to focus on strength. There's gymnastics, and there's so many elements to CrossFit to focus on, that it's important that you don't just get lost in the variety that's there. You still deliver a tailored program to each individual that not only balances out them doing a workout at the end of it, they make sure they're improving their strength, they're improving their mobility, we're introducing corrective exercises. And I think I've gone off on a tangent, but I think for people that haven't experienced CrossFit, and to be honest, I was one of these people when I first started training and started PTing. I wasn't a big fan of CrossFit, and that's because all I saw was stuff like The Fittest on Earth or the CrossFit documentaries, where you see these guys going balls to the wall for 4, 5, 6 minutes, or they're doing 40-minute workauts at high intensity.
Several years back, we'd had our own discussions behind closed doors about our views and values of the CrossFit world. And I'll be honest, my views and values have completely done a U-turn as well. I love it.
Yeah, that's it. It is. It's brilliant. And to now be able to say, right, well, before we hit lockdown, we were going through a strength focus. So we were looking at people going through structured. I was implementing wellness 5-3-1 into the programming. So we were following that over a slightly modified 8-week strength cycle. There was also corrective exercises and mobility strategically placed throughout the session. So whilst they were resting, people were doing corrective exercises that weren't going to affect that strength work. So the basic program would be Monday we would squat. There'd be back squatting, and then I'd throw in either some Cuban presses, some external rotation work, some band pull aparts, or some mobility work to open up their chest and their shoulders, so that people could easily achieve that front rack position.
And what you've done there, two things. First off, I just want to acknowledge the fact that for those listening that see CrossFit as quick, fast, somewhat dangerous, unplanned. It's really not the case. I think it comes down to the facility. It's not a global heading that we should give CrossFit is poor.
No.
which it does get a bit of grief for. I think the other thing I want to, so do you want to jump in?
No, go ahead.
The other thing I just wanted to kind of highlight was, again, just that the terminology of, we're going to do this 5-3-1 strength, and on the recovery time, we're going to do X, Y, and Z mobility for external rotation of this and abduction of this. It's that ability to go, what's happening to the anatomy during this squat, and what do I need to do on my rest time to the anatomy in order to improve my squat? And it's knowing those anatomical features, knowing that anatomical physiological language to say, this is what this exercise does, and this is going to improve the way the human body moves. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's, it goes back to that underpinning knowledge of anatomy and physiology. If you don't have that, you're not going to be able to design an effective program. I look at that and I look back at some of the programs. I think I must have having a clear out a few months ago. I came across a couple of programs that I'd written. I looked at them and I was just like, what were you doing? Why would you do that? And I think if you don't do that as a trainer, you're not progressing, in my opinion. If you don't look back at what you delivered 6, 7, 8 years ago, you clearly haven't developed.
I said something on a live training inside our FitPro 31 course, online course at the moment. I said, yesterday, I said, if you don't look back at your content, whatever it is you're producing, say 90 days ago, and you are not embarrassed, then you haven't progressed.
Yeah, that's it. There's always ways to improve, and it doesn't have to be improving by much. It could just be the way that you structure that program. You could, the exercise selection might be great, but it's how you then structure it to maximize that time, or maximize that session. And I think I'll come to that later, but I think that's really,
I use that as kind of like this analogy of small hinges swing big doors, and you only need one small hinge. Everything might be great on this door. The door might look amazing, but it just might be one small hinge that swings the door open that much. And as you say, that could just be a small tweak to rest timings. And it could just be one small learning or distinction you've had along the way in the last 90 days of learning. Just one thing every other day that you've picked up on, gone, oh yes, that makes a difference. Oh, I see what I did. Why did I even attempt to do that?
Exactly, that's it.
But you don't know what you don't know. So I think that's what comes with confidence. It's being confident that whatever knowledge you own right now, that's your knowledge right now. Yeah,
but as long as you're continuously striving to improve and enhance what you're delivering to your clients, or enhance what you are delivering to those who look at your social media, or whatever platform you deliver your content on. As long as you're continuously looking to improve and striving to improve that, then you will be successful.
Amazing. Yeah, completely. So kind of a segue to that, what would you say is the best bit of what you do now? So obviously we're recording this inside, I think we're in week 8 of COVID-19 lockdown, not just from a lockdown perspective, but when you are in the face-to-face in the Unit 22 with clients, what's the best bit of your job as head coach?
Whether it's as head coach or whether it's just one-to-one coaching, whatever it is, it's when I see people get a movement or hit a PB or hit something they've been working so hard for. And that because that reward from their hard work, from their determination, they've clearly followed the program, followed structure, and they've put so much effort into getting that actually that sort of first moment where someone does a pull-up, someone puts 5 kilos on their back squat, someone shaves off 2 seconds off a time of a workout or a park run or whatever they do, having played a part in that is brilliant. And no matter how many times it happens, it's always like it's the first time.
Yeah, amazing. So you're working with clients and you're seeing them hit their goals, and that's ultimately what your goal is to hit the goal. We could be here all day on this next question, answering it, but give us a general overview for how you go about planning, either group-based or semi-private, small group, or one-to-one. What's your overall approach? You've mentioned that you've got like this big macro plan of what the year looks like. You do 6 weeks on strength, 6 weeks on mobility, 6 weeks, or you're periodizing it. But if we were to kind of zoom in for new people, new fitness pros that are joining the industry, what does planning look like for you and your clients? Not just from training, but also maybe mindset, behavior change, and nutrition.
So that's trying to dial that in is So if you were to, as understanding their primary goal is the main point to work with.
Perfect.
And that's everyone. So I think it's really difficult to answer that in terms of programming for the box and programming for my semi-private or individual. So I'm gonna split it.
Perfect.
If that's all right. So when I program for the box, people that come to CrossFit want to get better at CrossFit. Whether it's they're fit, they want to get fitter, they want to get stronger, whatever it may be. CrossFit, if they went to any CrossFit box, regardless of what they did, they would get fitter. They would get stronger. That's the nature of what CrossFit is. Yeah. What I'm trying also to do, because getting fitter and stronger, you can go and achieve that by going to a boot camp. You can go and achieve that by going to any form of fitness professional. It's what I'm trying to do is give them more so that they stay with us. So the programming is one of the reasons that they stay with us. And like outside of this, there's other reasons, but if you give them so much more than just, I can lift 5 kilos on my back squat. If they can get up from the floor without pain, that's it. So exactly. So if they can do something completely that's a tiny thing that they couldn't do before, like they can reach above their head to close the boot from a car. They can do something that's directly transferable as to something you have introduced in class. That's the main thing. So yes, the programming reflects, right, and we're going to improve your strength, we're going to improve your aerobic capacity, we're going to improve your gymnastic capabilities, but alongside that, and we make that clear, it's not necessarily, if someone physically can't get into a front rack position for a front squat, then you don't force them into it. There's other movements that still elicit that same response. We discussed this already. But then what drills can we work on? What can I put in that's going to help improve front rack mobility of the gym population? Because front rack mobility takes a huge amount of flexibility in your shoulders, in your wrists. It takes a huge amount of thoracic and core strength. That then changes the angle at which you squat. So you have to think about all of those things, and then try and help people improve in a global sense, so that they can then improve their just by doing a front squat, or just to do a front squat. Sorry. Yeah.
From a mindset or behavior change perspective, how do you incorporate planning there, or is that something?
So I wouldn't necessarily say I do it with the box, because people that come to the box are already in a mindset of they want to train, they want to get better. That's if we see someone drop off, then and we haven't seen them for a few weeks, then we'll reach out, contact them, make sure everything's going okay. Is there anything we can do? And then if we might find that there's another issue, and we'll deal with that separately. But in terms of sort of mindset programming or how people approach certain things, like every session we finish with a workout, we talk through the approach and the mindset the individual should go into that workout with. So if it's a short workout that's a time priority, right, this is how you're going to work, this is where you need to push, this is what you need to do, how are you going to approach each set, are you going to break a movement up because you know that's going to fatigue you. So that might be a way that we'd look at mindset programming or
mindset skills to challenge for things they do day to day in life.
Yeah.
What about from a nutritional perspective, either your one-to-one clients or the box? How do you?
So
challenging equals?
Again, it depends on their goal.
Yeah.
And that's nutritionally. Nutrition is something that's so that you could go into forever.
It's a minefield. Let's face it.
Yeah, it is. And if I'm honest, if someone's coming to me to get into to look physically and aesthetically the best shape of their life, I will probably tell them to go and see someone else who I know is very, very good at that, because that's it's one, it's not my area of expertise. I could get you there. I could, but
that's not what you do.
No, it's not what I do. I don't have the level of experience I haven't worked with enough people with that goal to say that it's going to take me this long by doing this and this. And it doesn't suit the style of training I deliver, and that's it. So, but if someone's...
Sorry, you find then majority of your nutritional coaching that you do are more around, say, like modifiable changes. And
yeah, exactly.
I don't want to use the word basic, but basic behavior change. The stuff
that
probably every client knows they should be doing, but just not doing, and you're just holding them accountable. For example, I don't know, let's say you recognize that they have 2 rounds of sandwiches and 4 bits of bread every day, which is 28 slices of bread a week, and you're like, well, actually, it's a modifiable change. You would be better off based on your physical goal to reduce that.
Yeah, that's it. It's giving people small habits, which has been proven to have a greater success
100%
than a complete overhaul. Small daily habits or changing 1%. That's over a period of 365 days is an exponential change. That's huge.
Yeah.
So I'd look at if someone is specifically coming for weight loss, I'd say, right, don't change anything. And you haven't exercised before, or let's have a look at where you're at currently in your exercise. Right, we're going to introduce something else. So we change one thing. Yeah. Because if you change one thing, if be that introducing another exercise session, already that's increasing their total daily energy expenditure, which is over a week. That's even more. They've then got to look at different habits. So okay, they do that over a period of 4 weeks. Review it. Have you lost any weight? Yes. Excellent. Let's reassess.
The first thing really to look at in anyone's kind of journey, I believe, and this is evidence-based, would be the frequency in which someone trains. If someone's coming from having never trained, just the very fact that they up their daily step count and improve their knee, or do 1 session a week, by default, they will get closer towards their goal.
Exactly.
The thing there is we added something.
Yeah.
Most dietary approaches or weight loss approaches is about subtracting. My comment a minute ago was about subtracting the amount of bread from someone's diet, but actually a lot of the wins come from addition as opposed to subtraction.
Yeah, that's it.
Counterintuitive.
Yeah, and I think it's a hell of a lot easier to give someone nutritional habit changes after you've been working with them for a period of time where they've seen success, because you've then earned that level of trust.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had, say, client A came up to me and I've never met them before. I've got no idea what they've done before. I've been approached by them via an email online. I say, excellent, right, come down to the gym. We'll have a coffee. We'll sit, we'll chat through everything, and then we'll get a plan together. They come and see me. So I've got no background on this client whatsoever. And I then go in, right, we're going to change your diet. So you're then going to have, we're going to
change X. We're going to change Y. We're going to change
it. And then they say they do all of these things, and they come and see you, and that's a huge information overload. You've got minimal rapport with this client, so you don't understand the nuances in their life. You don't understand what's going on, and there's so much more to that going on outside that people don't realize. That actually, right, okay, how many times a week have you trained at the minute? Awesome. How many times do you want to train with me? Brilliant. Right, we'll go with that. So they're training 3 times a week. They want to substitute one of their gym sessions for 2 sessions with me. So they've trained 3 times a week. They're now going to train 4 times. Brilliant. Let's not change anything for a few weeks. Come and do that. Excellent. 4 weeks in. Okay, what are you doing in your gym sessions?
Exactly.
Is that helping you towards your goal? Right. I want you to do this in your gym sessions. You haven't touched their nutrition yet, But what you're doing is you're giving them that added value of a training program to go away and do.
Yeah.
So I've now got overall control of their training. I know exactly what they're doing, and that makes it easier for me to then go in 6 months' time. If I start tracking using my Fitness Pal, I know exactly what you're doing in training.
It's kind of like teaching a kid to ride a bike and expecting them to be able to ride the bike at the end of the first and second session. It's kind of like, a teacher teaching a kid algebra and going on the second day, just going, cool, we're going to do an algebra test now.
Yeah, that's it.
You're literally setting them up to fail.
Yeah.
That was what you've done with person B there, which is, I love that approach, is basically saying, like, let's not change hardly anything at all. Maybe just one thing. Keep everything the same for a few weeks and they just change one thing. And over time, they learn to like you, trust you, respect you, build up this relationship, this empathy. It's a two-way communication. And that's when you have permission to go in and say, cool, let's challenge your nutrition now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And
is a complete...
Yeah,
their life's just going to be up in arms and AWOL, and it's not sustainable, which is what you see with so many dietary approaches. So this isn't a dig or disparaging comment against the various dietary approaches out there, because at the end of the day, they all work because they create a calorie deficit. One of the problems I see is that somebody sits down on a Sunday night and says, right, I'm now going to do the keto diet. And on a Monday morning, they are all out keto. And by the end of the week, they're like, oh, that was too much.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong with the keto diet, so to speak.
No.
It was our approach to keto.
Yeah. And it's the one that sustainability is the key to success in anything. If you're going to you could say, if you get someone to have a healthier breakfast, and by healthier in the terms of whatever healthier means towards your goal, healthier can mean something different to everyone else. If someone's training in the morning, they need to have a breakfast that's going to fuel them depending on what type of training they do.
Exactly.
There's the loose terms that people use: have a healthier breakfast, do this to be healthier. What does healthy really mean?
What does that really mean?
Yeah, exactly. So you can't just, and that's where the cookie cutter diet approaches, you've seen that now has disappeared. Everything now is about tailoring that experience and tailoring to the individual needs of the client. But I think one thing that I've got a good friend who has helped me a lot recently as well. He runs a very, very successful training facility, and he said to me, the needs of the individual differ by degree, not by type.
Tell me more.
So it's something that I've never heard it put like that before, but there's no reason why you can't train like a professional athlete.
Even if you are 55 years old and you've just had a heart attack.
Yeah.
Even if you are a lady that's just had a baby and you are fit to go again. Exactly.
It's what you need to realize is that you're not going to ask them to row a sub 6:32K. Okay, right. We are going to get them to that same intensity, but at their level. So what might that look like? Okay. We're going to put them in a circuit. We're going to we're going to walk for 30 seconds. Nice. We're going to walk, rest. Right. We're then going to go to the rower.
They are the athlete of their own life, right?
Yeah, that's it. So there's no reason why you can't train everyone using a similar approach. So everyone, their movement pattern: squat, lunge, twist, press, pull. What that looks like we've already said, you can hinge via a deadlift, via a Romanian deadlift, via a good morning, a swing. Simply by getting up from a chair, you could hinge.
Yeah.
But that hinge is at a different level. You're then if you're going to look at a hinge, you can look all the way up to sort of hang movements in an Olympic lifting.
And then from a professional athlete perspective, their mindset is, I want first place. I want to be on the podium. I want to win. I want to get my goal. I will do whatever it takes. And I genuinely believe, regardless of what your goal, whether that is to start exercising at the age of whatever age or whatever condition or whatever you're coming back from or going towards or in your revision or whatever it is, just train like an athlete. What would an athlete do in this scenario?
Yeah. And that but then that differs by the degree.
Exactly.
So it's not the type that we're changing. Athletes have to be strong, they have to be mobile, they have to be flexible.
How you go
day-to-day life, strong, mobile, flexible.
They're just global terms. I love that. So you've mentioned like sustainability. You've clearly sustained your time in fitness. You've adhered to all of those degrees or you've just mentioned. I just want to acknowledge your time frame, I suppose in terms of how you've broken the mold of within the fitness industry. You know, it's reported that 80% of those people that start within 18 months are no longer operating. Now, we've had like huge discussions and jumped into quite some depth, but what do you see as the most common reason why people don't get past 18 months?
I think there's a few very quick reasons. PT, you're promised, you could earn 40K inside your first 6 months. Yeah, okay, show me someone. Show me anyone who's earned 40K in the first 6 months since qualifying as a PT, please.
You'll get the odd snowflake.
I mean, yes, you could earn 40K if you're charging £30 an hour working and you immediately jump into 6-7 clients a day.
Well, take, for example, James Smith. You know who I mean by James Smith?
Yes. Yeah, I know James Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, he was around as a PT in Bracknell, I believe, near Oxford for a good couple of years, producing content, and nobody knew of him. Earning, relatively okay-ish wage. And people go, it's all right for James, but what people don't see was the hard graft behind it.
Yeah.
Did that come through?
That's it. And to be honest, yes, that did. Yeah, it did. And to be honest, his model is going to work few and far between. I think he charges £8 or £9 for a membership for his basic package, and then I think it's £40. Yeah. But he's also got a following of surplus for 300,000 or 400,000 people. That's not going to work.
Approach of James Smith is only going to be, I believe, relevant if you are at an influencer stage of over 500,000 followers. Outside of it's a signature package, which is something that we promote inside Parallel, which is where you take a select number of people through a very, very specific program targeting a very specific goal, and that's charged at your worth, at your value.
Yeah, exactly.
The membership model, how James has set up, is few and far between. Like I say, I think my point for that was, I saw a comment the other day and said, I'm not very good at video. How many videos have you done? And James put up a comment. He actually sits inside a coaching group I'm in as well. And it was something like 7,000 videos, which is the equivalent of I think something like 2 or 3 a day for his entire fitness career, which is, I don't quote me on those numbers, but that's radical, right? What PT do you know doing that level of content regardless of being heard?
Yeah, exactly. And he's clearly refined that, and he's done very, very well, and the guy knows his stuff as well. So he's not just piggybacking off the back of a huge following. He's got that huge following because he's delivered good quality content, he's progressed, he's developed, he's improved his knowledge, and he's got there because of that. He's not had that and then delivered something. So he's consistently putting out good content and backing it up with good knowledge, which is where a lot of people fall down. And that's, I think, another reason that you've got people that want to be, they do the fitness accounts on Instagram or Facebook or anything like that, and they go, I'm now going to do PT, but they don't get that success because they don't continue doing what he's done.
Yeah.
But also, I think the main reason people drop out is because they really enjoy training, and the vast majority of people that I see going into the industry are relatively young and haven't established a career yet. You get the demographic that are slightly older, that have had a career and then go through a career change. Yeah. And they, I don't know the exact figures whether they are likely to stick it out for longer, but the vast majority of people I see drop out, or I know have dropped out, have been those that enjoyed training growing up, and they've gone, do you know what, this will be a really good job. They go and qualify, and it's hard fucking work.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
The average age of a parallel learner at the moment is 42 to 43, and the bias of our learners is also female. So roughly, 3 people come through. 2 of them are going to be female. 1 of them is going to be male. 2 of them are also going to be above 40. The other third person's 30 plus. So the mature learner, so to speak. And it's something that we've definitely seen in the last 8 to 10 years in parallel, is that the older learner, like you say, has had their career. They do actually go on and stay within fitness and break that mold. But again, it still comes down to, I think it depends on what time of life someone's in. If someone's had their career, maybe they've paid off their mortgage, they've got less debt, kids have grown up, left home and whatnot, they've got less expectation or need on what their salary should be coming from through fitness. Whereas somebody that is perhaps leaving their job behind and goes, well, I'm earning 30K here, I'd like to be able to replace that pretty quick. That's the person we find maybe struggles that little bit more, unless, but when again, saying that, we've had multiple learners that have literally been, one learner was made redundant on the Friday, and our course started on the Saturday, and he turned up and he did his introduction. He goes, something interesting about me is I was made redundant yesterday of immediate effect, and we completed on our 3-bed new house last week. And I was like, oh shit. And he had so much back against the wall. He actually opened up his own unit in the center of Birmingham within 4 months. He was like,
but sometimes that's a fantastic driver. That's it. It's a fantastic driver. And I think that the amount of times I've tried setting up and failed is far more than I've succeeded. So it's been quite a few times where I've actually set up stuff and it's not worked. It just hasn't worked.
But you learned from that, right?
Yeah, that's it. I've learned from that, and I stepped out of a. So I've been in I've throughout the last 8, 9, 10, however long I've been doing it, I've always been training someone to some effect. There has never been a point where I've not been doing personal training, one-on-one coaching, online coaching of some sort. I was prior to being head coach, so I part-time coached at Unit 22. I was full-time in corporate health and wellbeing. So it wasn't direct one-on-one, but it was direct coaching. As such, it was health and wellbeing in the workplace. And I stepped out of that job, guaranteed income. And I think my daughter was about 6 months old.
Wow.
So that's probably right or wrong thing to do. I had to make it work because I've got a family to support. You can, in the nicest possible way, marriage, mortgages, you can get out of. It might ruin your finances. It might have a huge life altering effect on you, but you can get out of them. Being a parent is something you can't get out of. I had to make it work. That's it. And I learned from what I'd not succeeded in before, and tailored and changed how I approached things, changed how I delivered things. And touch wood, so far it's been successful. Even amidst the lockdown, I'm still doing, I think, well. I'm still busy. So, and I've
carry on. Go for it.
No, sorry, you go on.
Well, I was going to say, what's really interesting there is, a lot of people would use the example of like, I've got a secure job. What will my husband or wife or partner think? I can't do it because of a kid's security. I can't do it because of a mortgage. I can't do it because of my debts. And legitimately justify, they are reasons why you might not take action, but they're also reasons why you can and maybe should take action as well. And although I was the main reason I did it was because I love what I'm doing now. Absolutely love it. And I really enjoy helping people. I enjoy being around people. And that, I think that comes across in what I do. Whenever I'm delivering a class, I've been likened to a puppy. I'm it's energy. I love
the working with people and seeing people succeed and seeing people reach their goals, whatever those may be, and playing a small part in that. That's it. And I think that's crucial to any success. It's not just in fitness, in anything you want to do. You have to be truly passionate about it in order to be very good or excellent. And there's no, especially with something where you are delivering face-to-face content or face-to-face work, you can't not be passionate. That comes across instantly. When you see people that don't want to be there, or coaches on the gym floor that are knackered, or they're not really interested.
Immediately.
Yeah, that's
so
it. And
what's next for Jamie Warr then?
Well, obviously it depends how we go in terms of lockdown, but I'm looking at doing some work with online coaching. Whether that's going to play out well or not, we will see. Sort of looking at delivering, well, say online coaching. I'm already doing online coaching with people, but a more tailored package, aiming at busy dads or busy parents who have less time to train. They want to spend more time with their family, and they're weighing up that guilt of, I want to train, I still want to be fit and healthy, but I want to spend time with my kids and my family. So we'll see how that one goes.
Experience of.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So, but then that gives me, I know how they feel. So that then gives me something else that I can work with, whether that's a marketing strategy or whether that's something that I can help. I can relate to those people who are wanting to train, but they've got in from a day at work.
Something we talk about in the fitness business Kickstarter is making your mess your message. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that being a parent is messy. That's not what I'm saying here. But you understand what daily life is, and that's your own personal mess, so to speak. And when you make your message, if you're going to resonate with dads that have kids under the age of, say, 3 years old, just like you've got, you know what those daily 24-hour battles are that you can pinpoint and say, this is how I get past it. This is how I keep my nutrition on track. This is how I keep my fitness intact without feeling a level of guilt or whatever. This is how I manage my daily routine, go to work, have a relationship, have a marriage, have a kid, and it doesn't fall flat on its face every 3 weeks. I keep it going. And you're the leader of that. And that's what I love about is making your mess your message.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. We got a few questions from a few learners. So obviously we arranged this quite short notice, but I did pinpoint a few learners in the group to ask some questions. Because I know you're going to be able to help them with your answers. So Joe asks, what advice would you give someone just starting out who's scared and is ready to start but not sure where? So I think maybe the FitPro Session podcast has already kind of answered that. But in I don't know, let's say 60 seconds on the clock, what advice would you give to Joe?
Just go for it. If you're considering starting, just go for it. There's nothing you can't go back. And something I learned from working with one of our clients one of Amazon's messages is bias for action. In their fulfillment centers, give it a go. What's the worst it's got to lose? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You can learn from it. You can apply it again in the future, or you can always go back to what was going on before. And if you don't do something,
stuff, and it's not
you're always going to be sat in that limbo.
Amazing. Gemma asked.
Yeah, that's it. As long as you learn from it,
you're there. I think there's a little bit of a delay. That's okay. Gemma asked.
Say that again.
Gemma asked, what's the biggest challenge you've come across so far working in fitness?
It's difficult. I think probably one of the biggest things is the advancement in technology and the increase in information that's out there. Nice. Because everyone is now an expert. People don't understand the hours of work that you put in to then deliver that session, like the amount of research and time that I've put in, and the amount of mistakes I've made to get to where I am now.
Yeah.
And then for someone to go, oh yeah, but it says this on Google. I read this, and this is the 15 biggest ways to fat loss. Sweet. Cheers.
Exactly. So I got two final questions. if that's okay. So, first off, I just want to acknowledge your time in the industry and understanding and your overall thirst for learning. Final two questions. Based on life today, all your experiences from pro rugby to working, qualifying, kickstarting with boot camps, working at Matt Roberts, working in corporate health, and now at Unit 22, what 3 things or tips of advice would you give someone to become an outstanding coach?
First off, I think we've already touched on a couple of these, but you've got to continue to learn.
Yeah.
What you are, who you deliver, and when you qualify has to improve. You've got to look back on what you did when you first started and have that light bulb moment and think, what the hell was I doing? That's one main thing. You've got to continuously learn and improve. The research in the industry is always changing and always growing. You have to go along with it, otherwise you're going to get lost in the crowd.
Yeah.
Number 2, second thing, training has to be more than something you do for enjoyment.
Amazing.
You have to. You don't getting an enjoyment from training and then transferring that into a job. They're 2 very different things. You have to do it more than for just enjoyment. Yeah. And probably the third thing is celebrate your clients' wins.
Boom. There we go. And enjoy it. Enjoy the whole process. I love the second point, in fact, and it's just that immersion into it, because so many people get into fitness because they've had a transformation themselves, but it's not until they fully qualify and get into the nitty gritty of working with clients, but actually that's not the part they enjoyed most. And to be an outstanding coach, you've got to enjoy the whole concept behind it, not just enjoy it from training yourself, but actually, like you say on the final point, it's celebrating the win and having this thirst for getting somebody from A to B and going, how did we do that? And celebrating and enjoying the journey the whole way. Yeah. Cool. Final question. Is there a question I should have asked but haven't?
I don't think so. I think we've pretty much we've covered a lot and gone off on a lot of tangents, I think, but hopefully it's all been relevant and will help at least a couple of people who have been in my position or who may be in my position in the future.
I'm sure it has. So with that, I want to thank you, Jamie, for your time today. It's longer than we'd planned. And as you say, we've gone off on 100% some serious value there. And, if you are listening on iTunes or Android or via YouTube or via our blog, then drop a comment below. Join us in the Parallel Coaching Inner Circle. If you've got any questions for me or for Hayley at Parallel or for Jamie, you can find us inside the Inner Circle. Where's the best place for anyone listening to reach out to you, Jamie?
Probably to either drop onto my Instagram or Facebook. So Instagram is at Jamie_Warr_, and then Facebook is Jamie Warr Coaching.
Superb. And then all of those links are in the show notes as well. So any questions around kickstarting in fitness, or if you're listening to this and you're around the Northampton area and want to coach, then go and check out Jamie Warr. Go from there. So Jamie, a huge
Hi, I'm Neil Bergman. And I'm Hayley Bergman. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands of fitness professionals to get qualified, learn with simplicity, and coach clients with confidence.
We're the first to say that learning and being a FitPro doesn't have to be hard work, and that with the right structure, support and resources, you can become a confident and knowledgeable fitness professional that is dedicated to more.
So how do you learn, qualify and kickstart as a FitPro? This is the FitPro Sessions Podcast with Parallel Coaching.